It's the ute Volkswagen says Australians want, an Amarok with a V6 engine and a manual transmission. And after a long wait, it's finally here. Now of course this means the 8-speed torque converter automatic is out, replaced by a 6-speed manual. But why? Well, Volkswagen says this combination is better for off-roading, partly because it ushers in a low-range transfer case, which is another first for the Amarok V6. So is the Amarok V6 worth the wait? Before we answer that question, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel and tap the bell icon so you receive a notification when we make a new upload. Now let's take a closer look at the Amarok V6. Looking at the manual Amarok V6 from the front, you'd be hard pressed to tell the differences between it and its automatic counterpart, save for this black bonnet protector seen here, which forms part of the no-cost Enduro options package. Move to the side and the differences are more noticeable though, with these black side decals and the black sports bar also forming part of that no-cost Enduro options package. At the rear there are some big differences, headlined by maximum brake towing capacity, which is down 500 kilos to 3 tonnes. You do get the same tub as the automatic though, while payload in the manual is up to 1,004 kilograms, so this is a genuine 1-tonner. It also comes with a full-size steel spare wheel. True to its entry-level core specification, the manual Amarok V6 is fitted with hard-wearing Austin cloth upholstery as standard, as well as heavy-duty rubber floor coverings. There's no hiding that this is a rough and ready ute. In terms of comfort in the second row, it is a little bit tight. Legroom behind my 184cm driving position is fairly tight. You do get a decent amount of toe room though, and because the Amarok is so wide, shoulder room isn't an issue even with 3 adults abreast on shorter journeys. That said, rear occupants don't get rear air vents though, or USB charge points, so they're out of luck there. For parents, the Amarok V6 is a viable option. The outer 2 rear seats have ISOFIX anchorage points. There's also 3 top tether points in the second row, so you can fit child seats with ease. Up front, the Amarok V6 is starting to show its age. Firstly, you've got this 6.33-inch touchscreen here, which is small by modern standards. It's also powered by a multimedia system that at the time was at the cutting edge for a ute, but is now starting to show its age. The core model doesn't come with inbuilt sat-nav, but you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support, which frankly you're going to want to use because they're better multimedia systems at the end of the day. Given this is the entry-level core, there isn't much in the way of luxury. You do get nice leather trim on the steering wheel, on the central armrest and on the gear shifter, but other than that it's hard plastics pretty much everywhere, even on the door armrests. In terms of connectivity options, you have a 12-volt power outlet in the front, an auxiliary input and of course the obligatory USB-A port. Storage options up front, you've got this cutout on the dashboard which you can throw your wallet on or keys or what have you. You've also got the storage bin I alluded to earlier, which has got a rather small storage space underneath, and of course the glove box here, which is on the smaller side, just big enough to fit the manual for the car. Now before we go over how the Amarok V6 drives, let's go over its pricing and features. As I alluded to earlier, the manual Amarok V6 is offered in a single specification, dubbed Core, which is priced from $49,590 plus on-road costs, therefore undercutting its automatic counterpart by an even $3,000. But the big news here is how the manual Amarok V6 is priced around the same mark as similarly specified rivals, all of which aren't available with a Bent 6. Standard equipment includes 17-inch Passadas alloy wheels, ventilated disc brakes, front fog lights, single zone air conditioning, a reversing camera and rear parking sensors. The manual Amarok V6 does fall short when it comes to safety though, as curtain airbags aren't available in the second row, while AEB and lane keep assist are also absent, among other key active safety systems. Of course, you can find a full breakdown of the manual Amarok V6's standard equipment and options at the CarsGuide website. Now, let's see how it drives. Now of course this Amarok V6 has the same 3-litre turbo diesel engine as its automatic counterpart, but there are some little differences. Firstly, it only produces 500 Newton meters of torque, which granted is still a lot, but is down 50 Newton meters over the automatic. That said, you still get 165 kilowatts of power, albeit over a narrow band, but you also get 180 kilowatts on overboost, which is achieved when you're in 3rd or 4th gear and the accelerator is depressed by 70%, so typically when you're overtaking cars on the freeway. Obviously this makes the Amarok V6 one of the punchiest utes you can get behind the wheel of, and so the performance and pickup is seriously good, particularly in the lower gears. Speaking of which, of course, we are dealing with a 6-speed manual gearbox. It's actually pretty good. Not nearly as agricultural as you might expect. First gear is a little on the shorter side, but the actual gate is quite short and smooth, so it's not as notchy as some others definitely are. The biggest surprise is how good the clutch is. It's quite well weighted, it's not heavy, you don't really feel at risk of ever letting it slip and stalling the car, even when you are off-road. Now, being a manual, claim fuel consumption is higher than the automatic at 9.7 litres per 100 kilometres. That's 0.7 litres higher. But in real world testing, and granted we have been driving a lot off-road today, we are currently averaging 9.4 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty good. As I mentioned earlier, this is obviously the most capable off-road Amarok you can get. Now, the good thing about that is the transfer case, which gives you low range, not something that you can get in an automatic Amarok. Being a part-time all-wheel drive system instead of the permanent one gives you that flexibility to have the car in rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive high, or of course, four-wheel drive low. And off-road, which we've been driving the Amarok on today on these tracks here in Werribee, it's performed really well. You also have a rear differential to play with too, which can definitely help you out of a sticky situation, and it certainly helped us at times today. Now, the other beautiful thing about the Amarok is you get an off-road mode, which slackens off the ABS and electronic stability control to give you a little bit more give in certain situations, which you do need, as we found out today. In terms of steering, the Amarok V6 is really good. It's got a hydraulic power-assisted system, which is frankly old school, but in this case really, really good. It's not too heavy, again, not very agricultural, which is great because it's really actually quite sporty in a way when you're driving through some of the faster stuff, which of course is not what we're doing today. Speaking of which, handling wise, the Amarok is a bit of a revelation for this segment. Despite being just over 2 tons, this manual goes through corners like you wouldn't believe. Definitely has great body control and really gives you that confidence when you're pushing hard. And it's always been one of our favourite utes for sheer driving pleasure. In terms of suspension, we're dealing with a leaf sprung rear end, which in this case is actually really good again. Unlike some other utes that are quite unsettled without a load in the tub, the Amarok remains composed pretty much at all times. Obviously off-road, when you're dealing with different surfaces, it can get a little bumpy, but compared to the rest is really confident, which is great to see. Obviously, if you were to put a payload in the tub, it would settle down things even further, but it's quite staggering how well Volkswagen has managed to balance it. There's no denying the Amarok is getting a little long in the tooth, but that hasn't stopped Aussies asking for a manual version with a V6 engine. And they should be counting their lucky stars, because Australia is the only market in the world to get this engine and transmission combination. Either way, despite its obvious flaws, the manual Amarok V6 is a really good thing, so those Aussies have been rewarded for their patience.